So this week we are talking about New Year's resolutions and what to do when they don't pan out. I don't know about you, but when that happens to me, I feel like giving up. But we can't do that. So what do you do when your goals get off track? Let's talk about it. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Vibrant Life Show here in the Cloud Dojo. I'm Corey and this is your place for inspiration on living a healthy, happy, and vibrant life. So here we are at the end of January. You're either feeling like you totally rocked this month and you crushed any new goals you made, or maybe you're bummed because those resolutions are often harder to keep than we predict. So I have a different approach and we can start it today. So I love the tradition of the new year. Every culture I've studied has a time of the year like this, a time to reset. Of course, it's different across different cultures, some autumn, some spring. Regardless, it's a time where everyone in the culture says, okay, let's give ourselves a clean slate. But these days, I don't know if it's just me, but resolutions can feel like a lot of pressure. It can feel lonely and overwhelming. And I think it's because even though many people are making resolutions at the same time of year, the actual work that most of us are doing is individual. So let's look at some other options. First of all, we have to give ourselves more opportunities to reset. Many people, for example, think of the first of the month as another time to reset. And many folks also have a smaller reset ritual every week. So if we can connect with this culture of folks who reflect and reset more often, it means that we have more chances to get back on track when things don't go as planned. It's a really smart strategy because that's simply life, isn't it? Plans do not always pan out. They're important as estimates of how we think things could go. But if we put all our hope of change on this idea of New Year's resolutions, we're probably going to be sorely disappointed most years. So I love to follow motivational influencers on YouTube each week when they share their Sunday reset or when they have their monthly plan with me sessions. So you can kind of go on YouTube and search for those, and it helps me feel connected to something larger and gives me more of a sense of purpose. And I actually have my own weekly reset and monthly plan with me that I do. So leave a comment below if you would like to see my versions of those. But it's also important to have an in-person community. And that brings us to my next point. I think a huge part of why resolutions fail is just because of how disconnected we can be from each other. There are definitely things I know that many of us enjoy about an individualistic society, but lack of real community connection, at least for me, is not one of them. So in this case, I say be countercultural. Bring up your personal goals when chatting with friends or even with new people that you meet if you don't have a lot of friends who are interested in the same type of personal growth that you're working on. Say you're at a park and you notice a family nearby and they're eating a healthy snack. Sometimes a simple thing like complimenting them on their healthy food, maybe asking like, how do you manage to avoid convenience food in this day and age, can wind up being the start of a beautiful friendship with someone who has the same goals as you. I have actually had people come up to me in this way a few times recently, and it has always been welcome and always started a good connection. Something I'm doing with my friends and family this year is the Veggie Full Plates calendar. So what we're doing is everyone who's involved in this is just trying to eat more vegetables, specifically more non-starchy vegetables, your greens and your green beans and zucchini and like all those good carrots and all the good non-starchy vegetables that we are trying to fill up our plate with as much as possible. And so anybody else who wants to be on that train with us can just, anytime you sit down to a delicious plate of food full of veggies, we're just snapping pictures, we're sending them to each other. I'm making an album at the end of each month, and then we're gonna compile it into a calendar that we can use for inspiration in the next year. So it's just like this fun way of connecting over our healthy goal together. The next point I wanna share is that changing the way we come up with our resolutions can affect our ability to stick with them. So what I like to do is start with a gratitude list. This is a great thing to do at the start of the month or anytime you feel in a slump and decide like, okay, now I'm ready for a reset. So just list everything you appreciate about your life. Maybe you're thankful for your good health and the dear friends you have. So from there, it's easy to see what habits you have that contribute to maintaining these things that you're grateful for, and what habits could you work on to increase your abundance in these areas. Next, my advice is to work on changes that involve routine and environment rather than willpower. I've really been stoked to see an idea coming into the mainstream recently that I think is long overdue. Something that used to really bug me about the fitness and nutrition industry was the hyper focus on minor details, making healthful living just way more complex than it has to be. To me, this has always seemed to be honestly a money-making gimmick designed to keep people so confused that they have to pay expert coaching and fancy tools to live a healthy life. So thankfully, new studies are being shared by mainstream outlets like the New York Times, for example, which I will link that article below. And what they're showing is that diet and exercise programs that are complicated and cumbersome, they ultimately rely on willpower to stick with the program. And this is like an ineffective method in the long term. But when we realize that healthy living is actually simple and our environment and routines need to be just set up in a way that supports our healthy habits, then we don't need willpower moment to moment and day to day. We do need willpower to kind of rebel against the dominant culture and stay in this healthy environment that we've set up. But this is a much easier task to accomplish than trying to push yourself to follow a complicated diet or exercise regime like day in and day out. So the bottom line is, first, keep your goals simple and straightforward. Don't get too bogged down in the exact, most perfect details. Second, decide on the equally simple habits that will support your goals. And third, focus on shaping your environment to support those habits. So let's take a quick example. If your goal is to become more flexible, you would probably want to create a simple habit of stretching every night before bed. So you do some basic research on what is a simple, effective stretching routine that you could do every night to get more flexible. And then you would support that habit with the structure of your environment. So first you need to make it part of your nightly schedule. Try sandwiching it between two habits that you already do. So let's say, for example, your nightly routine is you get ready for bed, and then you read in bed, you meditate, and then you go to sleep. So you can make the new habit of stretching come after you get ready and before you read. I always like to follow a new habit with something I look forward to, so in this case, reading. So that addresses the time component of your environment, finding a place in your schedule for your new habit. If your new habit was healthy eating instead, then you would want to be sure to schedule time each week to plan your meals and prepare snacks and meal ingredients ahead of time so that you could stick with your healthy eating even when you're busy and on the go. So then you'd also set up your physical environment to support the change. So in the flexibility goal example, this might be just a poster on the wall demonstrating basic stretches and then a yoga mat set up right by your bed. This kind of sets your environment up for supporting that habit. If you missed my previous video detailing how to do this same process with healthy eating goals, I will link that video below. And if you'd like some inspiration on how to do this with fitness and exercise, stay tuned for the next episode of the Vibrant Life Show here in the Cloud Dojo. So that's it for this week. I hope that you've been inspired to give yourself a fresh start whenever you need it. Now, I'd like to hear from you. What are some changes that you could make to your schedule or your environment to support your goals right now? Revamp those New Year's resolutions. They are not lost causes. Please leave a comment below and let me know. Here's wishing you a healthy, happy, and vibrant week, month, and year ahead. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time right here in the Cloud Dojo. Oh my gosh, you guys, I cannot make this stuff up. So I sent the kids outside while I was filming, but the little one didn't understand that you have to stay out until I call you back. So then she comes in and we have a snuggle right here for a minute, and I'm like, okay, now I have to film and you have to go out. And she left her muddy boot trail all right here for us. So it's kind of mostly cleaned, but mom life, right?